Welcome to the Sacred Sexuality Project. My name is Mark Queppet, and I'm here to help you live a higher expression of your sexuality. Got another Q&A here for you guys, and this one's from a guy called Jay. Alright, and here's what Jay says to me. I'm a college freshman, and as you know, there is a plethora of unfair social sexual standards among male college students for their peers. I don't buy into any of it, and I'm totally on par with your message. I was wondering, do you have any advice for handling naysaying guys that might try to put me down for wanting to live a life of sacred sexuality? How do I diffuse accusations against choosing abstinence, such as just being a prude, a wimp, etc.? Okay. Well, Jay, that's a great question. And the first thing I want to say is that you will probably rarely experience people really getting on your case for this. If they do, chances are they know you and they're kind of like friends with you in a sense, and they're just kind of busting your balls a little bit. And secondly, they would have to actually know that that's what you're doing. So the first thing is, maybe if you're worried about this kind of interaction, then just be careful about who you share your sexual views with. Okay, I mean, that's pretty simple. You know, don't share it with someone if you're worried about them making fun of you. Right? Now, the second thing is that in most cases where if you share these concepts with someone with confidence in yourself, they will rarely question it, because the people that are going to make fun of you for it, they would make fun of you because in some way they don't feel secure in their own path. Okay, so if they're insecure in their own path and they see you responding with great confidence, oftentimes that's enough to just, shut them up, okay? At least that's what I've experienced. And then finally, if you really do want to get into a conversation with someone, it can actually be pretty enlightening for both sides. I know I've had a lot of people who, they scoff at it initially, and then when I start talking to them about it, they're like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. So the big thing that I would recommend focusing on if you do want to talk to people about this is just saying how you believe that in order to achieve maximum sexual fulfillment, you have to, treat sex with a tremendous amount of respect and save it for special situations. Otherwise, it becomes kind of, meaningless. So the analogy that I like to use is, imagine that your mom makes this really, really awesome cake, and it's like so delicious. And, you usually only have it on special holidays, like, Christmas or birthdays and stuff like that. And whenever it's brought out, it's so awesome and so good. But you like it so much that you decide to start eating it all the time, every day. And when you do that, eventually the cake stops being special and it just starts making you fat. Right? And that's kind of a similar thing with sex. It's if you save it for very special occasions, then it maintains all of its awesomeness. But when you start to sort of abuse it by indulging in it whenever you can, it loses its value. So that's one way to explain it. And then another way is you could just get very real with them. I'm assuming since you're walking this path of sacred sexuality, there's a pretty good chance that you want to get married at some point, right? So if you want to get married at some point, you could also say or you can ask them, be like, hey, well, if you want to get married someday, would you want your wife to have banged a bunch of drunk dudes? And they'd probably be like, well, no, probably not. They would not like that. There's very few people who would want that to be the case. And then you can say, well, in the same way, I want to respect my future wife and not have banged a bunch of drunk chicks, because I know that would bother her, because I know it would bother me. And you can just kind of go at it from that perspective, saying you don't want these thoughts of past sexual experiences and that kind of stuff being there when you're trying to share that intimate connection with the one person who's, most special with you, And then if you want to get even further into it, you can talk about the couples that, they never even had a kiss until their wedding day. Imagine how special that one kiss is for them. Probably way more special than any other sexual experience you've ever had, right? So by restricting things, you make them more special. And if you explain it that way, I think it's rare that people are going to call you an idiot or weird or something like that. And if they do, they're an asshole, and there's not much you can do about it. And so really just be confident in what you believe. And, if you do that, you'll be fine. Stay clean.